Okay, did this last time for the Gauntlet, so I'm doing it again. It's just a recap of what's happening for Pathfinders in the Gauntlet. Pathfinders did not have a good Gauntlet. I believe this person actually killed somebody. 93 points? No, it's just level 93. So we have two people who actually managed to beat bosses on Rangers. So, let me hide this thing just to make it a little bit easier to work with. But the goal is going to be to go through, talk about what people have been doing for builds, look at what's the good data points, what's the not so good data points, and let's find out what people have done that's actually interesting. Okay. So, what have people done that's interesting? Well, in here we have some data: caustic arrow, toxic rain, seismic track, poisonous concoction, and caustic arrow. We'll actually look at POE Ninja builds for some of the breakdown, but the most interesting part here is just the fact that we have the top ranked guy defeated 3 bosses: Edziri, Elder, and Eater of Worlds. And the guy in second did the Eater of World and Edziri. That's not a whole lot, and that also shows with the ranger, right? 101 points is a top ranger. That's a number 4 witch, a number 5 shadow. That's ranger. Yeah, it's about it's pretty much equally bad to Scions. I guess Scions is slightly worse as far as actually completing content. There's, I'm sure, a whole bunch of reasons for that. I think one of the biggest reasons is that the way the math works out with double damage plus physical damage, and the fact that because there's more damage, you negate more armor. It's very rough, and that also means that evasion becomes more of an issue, because having evasion and some armor is just that some armor is going to get mitigated to a large degree, and that is going to be very challenging. So let's talk through some of these guys, and let's see what's going on. We have caustic arrow, toxic rain, a seismic trapper. This has a bit of an asterisk, we'll talk about it in a second. An explosive arrow, poisonous concoction, I think this is also poisonous concoction, caustic arrow, toxic rain, explosive arrow, an essence drain, which we'll take a look at in a little bit because it's interesting. And we'll also take a look at this poisonous concoction because they are using a versatile combatant. Most of the people stuck to a relatively safe path. Right? If you were going to go toxic rain, then you made sure to pick up the duration here. Right? And your route is slightly different, but most people were like, we need this part. A lot of people ended up taking Mage Bane. I mean, the way the gauntlet was set up, there wasn't much versatility, and most people end up going up here. You know, more life up here. The efficiency for auras, which allowed people to run Grace, Determination, Defiance banner, which a shocking number of people ran. Where are the skills? Here we go. Defiance banner, 100%. Determination, 100%. Grace, 84%. Now these are only people at level 80 plus, but that still is... there was some desperation going on. Molten Shells, not everyone was doing cast with damage taken on Molten Shells. Well, we had some foul Molten Shells as well. A lot of Despair, which most people were running the Despair on the Divine, of the Blessing, however they rigged it up. Well, they rigged it up by just spending a bunch of life. A lot of life tap support to support these auras that we're running. All relatively narrow range as far as what people were doing. Now, when we take a look at this, this guy with the toxic rain, yeah, this one talked more about him. So let's talk about a couple of the other people. So this is Jesse. I would not be surprised if Jesse ended up focusing on some of the other classes first before running on Pathfinder, and because they had a cold iron point, they went seismic trap. So even though there was a very highly placed seismic trap, I think it was more a target of opportunity than anything else. The same thing for Kuschelkatz? Cuddle cat, I guess. In German. Looks like they went occultist a few times and then they ended up switching to Pathfinder. Again, probably a target of opportunity. I don't know if they had specific gear that allowed them to make the switch where they said like, oh, let's go for it, or they just looked at the leaderboard and said like, hey, there's something to be had here, jumping on Pathfinder. So Kuschelkatz and Jesse, if we look at those, Kuschelkatz was number 1, Jesse was number 3. Mishaman is number 2. So let's talk about him because he only had one build. He played one Pathfinder, he got to 2nd place. And this is what he ended up with. So we have flasks, 6 charges on being hit by an enemy, 5 charges on being hit by an enemy, and 6 charges. Used when full, used when full, and used when full. No surprises there. Right, this is super potent in surviving smaller hits. Now, you don't have many smaller hits this time around, but it's the same idea. As far as the tree, picked up Mage Bane, picked up Ghost Dance, lots of defenses. And, you know, he is running the Toxic Rain with an Empower. That's just a nice find. And then he has, and this is the setup that uses Mirage Archer. And then he has a second 6 links for also Toxic Rain, using multiple totems, Ballista, Focus Ballista, and also 5 link actually, and Withering Touch. So between these two, he has the ability to do quite a bit of DOT damage. Malevolence, Despair, Life Tap, and Divine Blessing. So this allows him to spend life to get his Malevolence up. Damage over time, life, damage, resists. That's a nice quiver. Withering Step. Again, more damage. Determination, Flame Dash with Second Wind. I mean, +1 additional use. Not getting hit is just so important in this league that, yeah, it's actually pretty common to see the second wind set up from what I've looked through the characters. Yeah, I think it's more of an effect of the league than anything else. Minimum endurance charges. Again, physical mitigation is at a premium. Life and resists. And we have minimum endurance charges and resists and life. Pretty bare bones rings. 4 mods and 4 mods. So he probably alter eagled his way into these guys. Well, he must have played for quite a bit of time. I assume it's a he. I mean, it could be a she, but we'll assume it's a he for now. +1 minimum endurance charges, so he probably corrupted this guy. Endurance charge on kill, I don't think that matters. I don't think that he has already maxed endurance charges. Yeah, so he turned this into an amulet. 10% increased life, pretty awesome. And the boots increase cooldown recovery rate of travel skills, always nice. Life, resists, movement speed. Only 20% movement speed. This is actually pretty okay for rangers, and there's a couple of reasons for that. Almost everybody ran up here, right? This is 12% movement speed. Check real quick. 6, 3, and 3, so it's 12% movement speed. And then you also hop through this node here, which negates the movement speed penalty from your armor, so that's another 5% movement speed. So realistically speaking, he has 17% movement speed compared to somebody who is on this part of the tree. It allows you to have crafted movement speed on your boots, and it feels pretty good still. But yeah, this was in actual Pathfinder that played through, from as far as I can tell, as a Pathfinder, and got to second place, which is absolutely amazing. Lots of investment in defenses, right? Lots of life all over the tree. Picking up most of this wheel over here, doing quite a bit of travel to get there, picking up life over here, this life wheel, which pretty much everybody picked up, the life evasion wheel up here, and then the life part of the wheel up here. I believe this is a life wheel as well. This is a life energy shield wheel up here. So super heavily geared towards life. Fights may have taken a bit of time, but one of the nice things with Pathfinder is that you don't run out of flash charges, so you don't quite have the same timer that other people have during a fight. I actually noticed this when I played something that was pretty awful, but then I also realized that yes, the boss fight takes forever, but my flash charges aren't going down, and I'm not really dying, so I'm gonna win. It's just really slow because my damage is low, and that is the sustain you get out of Pathfinder does allow for this. Flash charges gained from the node up here, and flash charges gained from the node down here. Even though he isn't a crit build, just the sheer number of hits means that he's gonna be getting a lot of flash charges out of this crit. Plus, whenever his flash charges are full, they get used. You automatically recover life out of that. And still running a life flask on top of that. Instant recovery. Removing Ignite. Yeah, Ignite is a big deal with the double damage setup for this event. And then... Okay, so this is just making you curse immune. Well, kind of. And removing quite a bit of the mana issues for the build. Life. 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 Oh my god. Wait. An armor node. Okay, I'm compromising. I wonder if this was to make the reservations add up properly. Exposure therapy and decay. Repeater, shrieking bolts, and then this is the chaos wheel. Yeah. So a lot of farming, especially to get your wheels set up as well. Item level 53, so that means that is, I believe, the hills farming trick, where Boulder Dash lives. So that's how he managed to get his... Well, other than this guy, this was level 62. But with 53, I believe that means that they use that zone to farm these 3 items up. And... phasing, regenerate. And what is this? Avoid stun avoidance. Oh! 15, 27 plus what you pick up on the tree here. Probably stun immune at that point too, which is really good. So yeah, as far as I'm concerned, this is quite spectacular to see a Pathfinder accomplish given the mods. I tried to play it. I got killed by some blue mobs in Act 2, and then the second time I played through it, well, tried to play through it, I got corpse exploded. It's just like, okay. I don't have time to grind this out, and I'm not good enough to really play through it in that sense. So interesting builds to take a look at. So this is Seismic Trap. This is probably somebody who found a cold iron point and then decided, hey, I might be able to get something for playing Pathfinder, and they were right. This is the explosive arrows. The explosive arrows all pretty much look the same. They pick up the same keystones. This one's worth taking a look at. So the idea for this one is to pick up this versatile combatant. So minus 25% maximum chance to block attacks, minus 25 maximum chance to block spells, and then 2% chance to block spell damage for each 1% overcapped chance to block attack damage. This means that you can get to 50-50, 50 attack block, 50 spell block relatively easily. And they did that via a couple of ways. One, Tempest Shield, 25% spell block, so you need like 13% more spell block. 30% more overcapped block to cap out your spell block. And it looks like they did that with picking up some of the shield wheel here and the shield wheel down here as well. So 50% block, 50% spell block. I'm fairly certain they probably hit 100% spell suppression. I don't know if they got it on gear. Yeah, 24% on here, so I'm sure they hit 100%. So that means that they have a bunch of block, which gives them their endurance charges, which also, I don't know if they trigger anything on block. No, spell suppression. There's no life on block or anything like that. Now, whenever you get block, you are still being hit, which means that if you gain charges whenever you're being hit, I guess I didn't get a chance to upgrade this flask. So this is the only one that's charged on being hit, and none of them were automated at this point. This was an 87 Pathfinder, so maybe they just didn't get the flask of the currency to do it. Freeze immune, avoid being stunned. Duration. This is phasing, right? Quartz. I think this one gives phasing. And go faster flask. Yeah, not the same level of gear, which is to be expected. Mana gain on hit, which must have been very nice to solve all the mana issues. Yeah. Again, very defensive setup. Kind of like what they did here. This is the 50% spell block, 50% normal block. I mean, it can really add up very easily. The other thing I like, of course, is because it could make the switch over to go for turning your evasion into armor. Probably not worth it for this event, just because of the way it was set up. But this is an interesting innovation on the tree perspective. And then make a quick look of anybody else who popped out. Yes, we have an Essence Ray Contagion, which showed up as well. Yeah, let's take a look at that real quick. Wouldn't be surprised if this person had a bunch of gear and decided to run into Pathfinder using that, considering they had a Breath of the Council, an Ask Contempt. This is a item level 68, item level 66, 42, 46. Item level 70. It doesn't look like there's any twink gear on here. Flasks. Oh, this person probably farmed all of this by themselves. So, probably using the mechanics of the league to be able to get all the uniques and making use of the uniques they found. Duration, it uses the totems as well, and then it's more focused on the damage over time perspective, so they end up in the nodes over here. Again, the maximizing of the aura of the efficiency. I'm pretty sure they run the same determination, defiance. Do you have grace? No, despair. No grace. Oh, purity of elements isn't tossed in there as well. So, yeah, maybe this is something that they want to switch out off later on, but who knows? I mean, in this league, making it as far as they did is quite impressive. Essence drain, void manipulation, life tap. Lots of people are running life tap. Life tap is a huge factor in this league, just because of how important it is to reserve all your mana for defensive capabilities. Yeah, shocked at like across all the builds, the number of people running life taps is very high. Unless you had some other way to fix mana, like you got mana gain on hit from somewhere, you were pretty much running life tap. Life tap on the flame dash and a Vile Molten Shell as well. A Flesh and Stone in there as well. So life wheel over here, life wheel over here. The life wheel pretty much everybody took. Didn't grab the life wheel here. Did grab the life wheel over here. Grabbed all these life nodes up here and the life nodes up here. So yeah. This is, what's the icon they give you on the map? Oh, it's a flask icon. This is a life wheel. It's 4, 4, 7. So effectively it's like 5, 5, 5. As far as life wheel efficiency. So if we compare that to this build, do they have any inefficient life wheels? Not really. I mean, this life wheel over here isn't that amazing. Because this one is 5, 5. It's avoidance of elements 10. So if you grab this node with it, then I guess it's 5 per node for 5 nodes. How does this line up to history? He already grabbed it for the spell suppression, so now it's more efficient to take this. But yeah, I don't mind this life wheel too much. It's quite nice. It also means that just because of the insane recovery you get from your life flask, instant life flask doesn't become as key because of just how much life you get anyway in a very small amount of time. Yeah. Spell build. Don't know if Essence Drain is accessible. I don't believe it is. So they probably didn't. They slugged their way to Act 3, and then at Act 3 they were able to pick up spell gems, or they muled, one or the other. Actually, no, they didn't have other characters. It looked like, so they probably did mule. Quite interesting. But yeah, that is kind of the roundup of what Pathfinders did this league. Everybody else is Caustic Arrow, Toxic Rain, or Poisonous Concoction, or Explosive Arrow. There's a Viper Strike here. Let's take a look at this. God, a claw. Okay, it's a lot of life. A lot of resist. The physical damage to attack to make things work. Leveling up and empower. Multi-strike, add chaos, deadly ailments, unbound ailments, viper strike. So it's all in on poison. Defiance, precision, blood rage, determination. Really, blood rage. Don't think I've seen many builds do that, but then again, most people, very few people were. I think a lot of people are just worried about that physical damage taken. You take 4% of your damage per second. I don't think it doubles to 8%. Anyway. Ancestral Call. Pestilence Strike, Foul Toxins. Anything interesting? The flasks. Never finished crafting their flasks either. I think a lot of people were dead well before that point. Picking up the life, picking up the life, picking up more life, picking up the aura efficiency over here instead of over here. Yeah. A lot of travel. But, you know, you kind of have to find life on this tree. And no spell suppression. Wow. This is like one of the first builds that I've seen in this gauntlet which didn't look at spell suppression, at least somewhat. But yeah, just decided to sidestep spell suppression altogether. Alright. Anyway. This is, yeah, the Pathfinder view on what we got going on. There's, once you get to the lower levels, there's more going on, more options for different builds people played. But wasn't a whole lot going on in that regard. One of the things that is noteworthy is that I think the top 3 is crafted flasks. See how far down we have to go before we actually start to find flasks that are not crafted. Everybody's running charged when full. This one had 2 crafted and 1 not crafted. That was 89, 88. How are your flasks looking? Yeah. So around level 90 is when flasks start getting crafted. That's possibly a bug. So somebody did a test of handing in like a very large number of Emperor's Lucks. And they didn't get, unless there was a data error, I don't believe they got a single one of the flasks that trigger, of the currency that allows you to make your flask triggered. Got a number of the currency that allowed your flask to have, you know, enhanced effects and not gain charges while in effect, but none of the trigger currency. And if you look at the way the user interface is laid out, you would assume that the trigger currency would be like 4 times as common as the other currency, or at least twice as common, something along those lines. And given the sample size, I wouldn't be surprised if that currency isn't tagged as currency. So if something gives you a currency reward, you might not be able to get that the trigger currency, but you can get the enhanced effect currency just because of how it's set up. Or there's some rarity in there or something like that. But I wouldn't be surprised if there's something in there that isn't quite right. And, you know, judging from these people, right, if you have to get to level 90 in a relatively slow rolling, fairly grindy event to get to the point where you're crafting your flasks with the triggers, and a lot of the Pathfinder power is getting those flasks with the triggers, that's pretty rough. Because, you know, of these top builds, I'm pretty sure almost everybody is taking the node that gives you life. Where do we start? Probably over here. So, picking up Master Surgeon. Did not have Master Surgeon yet, but was also missing a mastery point. I know, this one didn't pick up Master Surgeon, so not as big a deal, I guess. Master Surgeon. So, this guy, what did he do with his flasks then? His flasks were not crafted. He had the increased effect ones. Oh, these are the harvest craft ones. These are not the ones that prevent charges. So, yeah, maybe he was waiting, or again, assuming it's a he, to get to the point where there was enough currency to trigger the flasks and then switch over some nodes. I don't know. It's hard to tell what anyone was doing. Didn't look like Quantric showed up anywhere on this. No idea if he tried or not. Let me see if he... Because I believe Quantric was... Quantric got to level 44. Did you do anything not Pathfinder? And then said, screw this, I'm going Slayer. Or he did a Pathfinder on the side. So, oh no, Quantric won this event. That's just a meme. He never played Pathfinder, from what I can tell. Well, that pretty much finishes this up. I don't think many people have an interest in all this. I did find it interesting to review what people were doing with Pathfinder Ascendancy, and happy to see like a little bit of innovation, right? The versatile combatant part and the essence drain setup. But I had my best luck playing a ethereal knives. Just mule to get ethereal knives and then use that to get through the first couple of chapters. Or the first couple of acts. I mean, spells was just very convenient to play with in this event, and I don't know why Rangers aren't given EK as an option. I mean, we get all the other blade generating skills later on, just not ethereal knives. Like, you don't really get any spells to make life a little bit easier. You do have probably the easiest time getting off the beach, fighting Hellock. Like, bows are definitely very potent early in the game because you can buy a couple iron rings. There's a lot of different bow skills. They're easy to support. You can get a quiver for some additional damage. You know, once you fill out those the rings and the quiver, and you upgrade your bow a little bit, you get a pretty big power spike early on. And I mean like early on, I mean like middle of Act 1. It's pretty awesome. But once you leave Act 1, it gets a little rough. You do have access to Trinity if you want to go the elemental route. But if you go the elemental route, you know that you're going to be suffering later on dealing with elemental penetration. And if you can't kill things fast enough and auras start stacking up, elemental resists just become very hard to mitigate. Anyway, that's it until we hear about what's happening next league. I'm running some experiments for league starters, a little bit here and there, not a whole lot. I'm looking at something that's going to utilize some of like the unique mana potions, because, well, those are all pretty much worthless. Let's see if I can turn it into a build. We'll see what's going on. my goal of making a cast and damage taken build fell through because leveling up cast and damage taken to level 20, you just don't play it enough for that. That's an insurmountable obstacle for me. Well, that's it. And I hope people are still enjoying the league. And if not, find something you enjoy until the next league shows up.